What's up, guys? I am Laura from Reading in Bed. Today is Saturday, December 2nd, so we're going to reveal the second story in the Short Story Advent Calendar in just a sec. But first we'll talk about story number 1. And the kids are downstairs. They're watching Dan TDM, who is their YouTube hero. So, you know, you'll probably see them again on Monday. On weekends, they have better things to do, let's be honest. So the first story was The Face by Laird Hunt. I read this very late. It was like 10 o'clock at night before I was able to sit down and read. And I'd gone in thinking maybe it would be a scary story just based on the author's bio, and it was more creepy than scary. And it was creepy in a way that's kind of familiar, where you've got someone saying, "Oh, let me tell you this story about something that happened to someone I know a long time ago." But the more details they reveal, the more you start to realize that it's not a story about someone they know. It's a story about them. Like, they are implicated in this, and now maybe you are too. And so, I mean, I think that's somewhat of a common trope in scary stories. I don't know. Not that I'm an expert, but it worked really well. And like, even as I was going to sleep last night, I remembered an extra detail. And when I woke up this morning, I remembered something else. Like, it's kind of... the ending is not clear, it's a little ambiguous, but when you stop and think about it, and probably if you reread, which I haven't done yet, you'll notice more things. Oh, right. And it's called The Face because one of the characters is face blind, which is kind of fascinating. And she is also supposed to be extremely beautiful, so I like the irony of someone with a beautiful face not being able to recognize anyone else's face. And presumably her own. I don't know, they didn't get into that. The other thing I really liked is our narrator was a 14-year-old boy, and this 14-year-old boy communicated mostly in a series of head nods and saying, huh? You know, I heard it as like a grunt. It's also set in Indiana, so we have this 14-year-old boy in Indiana, you know, very kind of silent, and he even mentions like never wanting to be caught out, I think is how he put it. Like, he's very guarded. He doesn't want to be vulnerable. Now, I just finished a book about teenagers in Indiana. You might have heard of it. It's called Turtles All the Way Down, in which the teenagers, you know, are exceedingly eloquent and just come forth with these speeches worthy of Shakespeare, and sometimes literally quoting Shakespeare. And not only that, but the teenage boy in that story professes his emotions at every turn to anybody, including a girl that he likes. He talks about being lonely. He talks about feeling unloved. And it's just like, have you ever met a teenage boy, John Green? I mean, you were one. Like, in 13 pages, this author created a more convincing 14-year-old boy for me than John Green did in however many pages Turtles All the Way Down was. And like, I'm willing to forgive John Green some of that because it's his shtick, right? But in Turtles All the Way Down, it was just so way over the top. And it was more like not so much the wordiness as this 16-year-old boy in that case, just, you know, yeah, like talking about how he feels unloved and stuff like that. No, that doesn't happen. Okay, anyways, let's move on. Let's go on to the second story. I really like this first one. It was a very strong start. So, here's number 2. And we're just gonna bust open the seal. It's longer, I can tell you that already. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. 43rd C Platoon by C.P. Boyko. I think this might be a returning author to this series. Let's go back to the... Okay, yeah, it just says C.P. Boyko lives and writes in Vancouver. And I seem to recall, I will have to go back and check, but I think this author has a previous entry in either last year's calendar or the year before, and had the same, like, you know, very short and sweet bio. And this author might have also been mentioned in an interview I did. Again, I'm going to have to go back and check, with Alex Good, who wrote a book of criticism about CanLit, Canadian literature, and I think he might have mentioned this author as one that he actually does like, because he's very critical. So let's see. I can just read the very beginning. No kids here, so if it's not appropriate, that's fine. So, 43rd C Platoon. High ground. Sergeant Montazzo wriggled on her belly to the crest of the ridge and surveyed the valley below through her field glasses. She had never seen landscape like this before. The gaunt and ragged mountains were smoothed in spots with shelves of snow. The rolling foothills were checkered with cottony groves of trees and swaths of firs. A stream twisted like a child's scribble through pastures splashed with wildflowers. A dirt road divided cultivated fields that from this height looked no larger than patches on a quilt. And a village, asleep or abandoned, lay nestled in the blue shadows like an heirloom in velvet. Okay, well, I will read this, and I should be able to read it soon because I'm taking one of the kids to swimming lessons, so this is what I'll be doing. It's, 20 pages. That should be perfect. I can read that in half an hour, no problem, and I will report back tomorrow. Thank you for watching.